we're doing a live interview for the podcast Tobin Tonight. I am here with Chuck Comeau.
Comeau, yeah.
Yeah. I'm always bad with French names. I'm a Newfoundlander.
It's all good, man.
So, of course, we just mentioned that you just celebrated your 38th birthday.
Yep.
Did you do anything special for the day?
You know what? We were just lucky enough to actually be in Montreal, which is our hometown. So we had a day off in between two shows, so it was perfect. It felt perfectly on the, it's pretty rare on tour you get to have this kind of chance to be home for your birthday. So it was great. Just got to hang out with my family, and actually my wife threw me a big surprise party, and I had no idea. It was the first time in 38 years that I got caught, being surprised on a birthday. So it was really cool to see all my friends in Montreal, it was really nice.
All right, sweet. I mean, I like birthdays too. Surprises kind of scare me, but I mean, if surprises are your thing.
I'm not a big guy on surprises, and I'm not really big on birthdays. But it was, it's cool once in a while to, kind of step out of your comfort zone and just go with it. And that's what I did, and I had a great time.
Now, I'm going to go over a little bit about your career. So in '93, you and Pierre were part of a band called, I believe it was Reset.
Yep.
And I'm going to mention this because I think it's kind of cool. It's a few members from that Reset band ended up being in Simple Plan. Mm-hmm. Now, you met your friends Jeff and Sebastian, who are also doing interviews here as well, in '99 to form Simple Plan.
So actually, it's true, but we met them before. We went to school with them.
Okay.
So as we were doing Reset, we were friends already with them, but they were doing other musical projects.
Okay. So the question I have on that is, it's interesting because it's like I said, it's the transition from Reset to Simple Plan. Just tell me all the details of how that transition happened.
Like Reset was our first band when we were growing up. We started at 13 years old. It was really like a little bit more of a punk rock kind of band, a little faster, harder. The lyrics were more about politics and sort of social issues and everything. And it was our, like, all our influences were a little bit harder bands and everything. And it was really fun. We got to tour Canada twice. We got to put out 2 albums. Well, 1 album that I played drums on, but the band itself put out 2 records. For a bunch of 14, 15, 16-year-old, we got to play major big shows, festivals. We got to play headline our own show, play 2,000 people. It was we actually got, I wouldn't say we were like a major, huge band, but for how young we were, we accomplished a lot of things. It was really cool. But we were pretty mature, and at the time we got into lots of fighting and issues and tension, and finally the band kind of blew up, and I went my separate ways. I went back to school. I went to law school in Montreal at McGill, and I thought I was kind of going on towards that path. And then Jeff and Seb, which I knew from high school, reached out to me and said, "Hey man, it'd be cool to, I think we should still play music. We should try to play together. You should not give up on your dream of being in a band." And I was like, well, I don't know if I want to start again. I had a band, and it was tough, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to put the energy to start another one. But then, it all took a few weeks, and I was like, okay, you know what, let's give this one last shot. And we started Simple Plan, and then we went back and we got Pierre to come and play with us from Reset. We were able to go over like all our differences, and I think, become friends again, even after fighting with Reset. And from there on, it was like, okay, let's go and let's try this one more time, and let's try to do everything we can to try to, live all our dreams that we had of being musicians and touring and traveling the world, and being able to write songs that mean a lot, to a lot of people out there. And luckily for us, we were able to accomplish that. And the cool thing is that I think we've learned a lot from our recent experience, and we've learned that you need to get along, and that you shouldn't let little details or little personality things get in the way of the music and end up doing this. So now I'm really proud to say that after 17 years at Simple Plan, we've never changed any band members. We're still the same lineup, still the same 5 guys, and we're still friends. So I think that was, if there was one lesson or one wisdom we've got from our first musical experiences, was that, is to get along and make sure that we can stick together.
That's a good answer. It's very interesting that you mentioned that, because you see bands like I like Oasis, I like Sum 41, and you see them just they kind of just lose touch, or they crumble because of communication. But it's interesting you said said that, of like, you kept the communication, you've been going now for 17 years strong. Now, the other thing I want to mention too is, of course, who came up with the name Simple Plan? There's theories out there that it was basically a simple plan that we don't have to work at McDonald's, or it was just, hey, we're just going to call ourselves Simple Plan because it is a simple plan. But what was the whole idea behind it?
Yeah, it's kind of that. I mean, that's the explanation that we give to people. But I think really, to be honest with you, like, we had to come up with a name for our band. We had our first show coming up. We didn't really have anything that we thought was great, and at the time we worked with our producer. You know, he was helping us making demos, and he just saw the movie A Simple Plan, and was like, "Hey, that could be a cool band name." And we're like, "Yeah, that could be pretty cool. Let's just, you know, go with it temporarily and, you know, see if we still like it." And it just kept sounding right, and it felt like, oh, you know what, that's the best name we could come up with. But I mean, really, when you break it down, the band's name is not really it's not the make or break. It's what you make out of it. You know, like, it's YouTube. You know, it's kind of like, you know, it could be seen as a very cheesy name, but or Metallica, like, if you had that in your garage, it might not be the best idea in the world, but when you go and you make an amazing record and you tour the world for 20 years, 30 years, the name becomes special and it resonates and it means something because what you built behind it. So, you know, Simple Plan, that's sort of the best we could come up with, and I think that so far, like, I've never been like, you know, like, there's a lot of bands like I think Hoobastank was saying, oh man, I wish we could change our name. And for us, like, it has a very cool, timeless quality to it, you know. Simple Plan. It looks good on shirts, and after 20 years, or almost 20 years now, it's still there, and we're proud of it.
Speaking of, you know, cool records and timeless, the next two questions go hand in hand. Of course, you came out with your debut album. It was no pads, no helmet, just balls.
Yep.
There was a really good few songs still on my iPod, actually. Addicted was one. I'll Do Anything for You, and I believe I'm Just a Kid.
Mm-hmm.
So explain what it was like coming out with that first record, because I feel that's like when you know, like, you kind of made it.
Yeah, it was a long process for us. We worked on it for almost 2 years, you know, like, by the time we started writing songs for it and making demos to the time that it was actually finished and recorded and released, it was at least 2 years. And, you know, we poured everything we had. Like, it was our chance to have a career, to, you know, to change our lives and to, you know, do everything that we always, you know, wanted to do, which was travel, play shows around the world, reach people with our music. So we obsessed about it. We went over it. We re-recorded and re-recorded everything, and we probably overthought the whole thing a lot. And, you know, but that was part of the process. We had to do that. You know, we had to make sure that once it was released, it was the absolute best we could do at the time, you know. And what I think I'm really happy with is that, you know, with the whole anniversary tour, we're realizing how much of an impact this record, you know, had. I mean, obviously on us it changed all of our lives. We were able to, you know, focus on music, and we've been able to make a living playing in this band for 15 years now. And this record was, like, you know, kind of started it all for us. It really was the starting point of everything. You know, it was how we got introduced to the world, and it defined our band in lots of ways, because what you come up, their first impression, you can never take back. So for a lot of people, this was the first impression. And what's great is that as much as there's a few little things that maybe I would love to change about it, most of it, and I would say most of all, when I look at all this, it still stands the test of time. And as we do this tour and as we play the songs every night, you know, I realize how much impact it had on people, and I realize how important these songs were for a lot of people, and it's just been really awesome to see that they were able to, that the songs still stand up and people still want to hear them. So that's been really special.
And yeah, like, again, I agree with you on that, because speaking firsthand myself, that's how I got exposure from you, from watching it on Much Music. Now, the first album I ever got for Christmas, I mean, I've had the Backstreet Boys. My parents thought I was into Ashley Simpson, which is kind of interesting.
Nice.
I had the Simple Plan. I think it was in the 2002 album, Still Not Getting Any, and Welcome to My Life.
Yep.
So a lot of people, it still resonates with people today. Why do you think that song resonates with so many?
Welcome to My Life specifically?
Yeah.
You know what? I think that because a lot of people, no matter how old you are and what year it is, like a lot of people go through some tough times. I think a lot of people feel they're misunderstood. A lot of people feel like they're not getting, they feel very alone, or they feel like they have no one that's sort of cheering for them. I think that we all felt that as teenagers, and even, to this day, there's moments where in your life you feel like nobody's really out there to help you out. Nobody really understands what you're going through. And a lot of people call it like teenage things, but I think that it's an unfair categorization of what life is, it's because there's things that no matter how old you are, there'll be moments where you feel like, things are tough and you need a little bit of just help. And I think that's what the song's about, and it's trying to say like, man, like I wish I could get a break right now, and I think that, it can be like a working class dad that's trying to feed his family or just lost his job, or it could be a teenager that just broke up with, her boyfriend or his girlfriend, whatever it is. I think that emotions are, if somebody's feeling something, even though for the outside world it might feel like exaggerated, for that person, these emotions are real and they're raw, and I think music helps you put it in perspective and it helps you realize that you're not the only one. So I think that's probably why this song has had a big impact on people.
Speaking of, going through depression and stuff as well, I just want to get your thoughts, and again, it's a little off topic, but feel free to say no comment. Chester from Linkin Park went through depression. His wife just kind of posted a video of saying 36 hours before he committed it, this is the face of depression. He was upbeat, happy, singing. Did you ever get the chance to meet Chester, or your thoughts on just that in general?
Yeah, we have. We actually met him many times back in 2002 or 3. First time in Thailand, we did a benefit for when they had the huge tsunami in Southeast Asia. He was there to help, and we were there as well on the same big charity show, and we met him throughout our career. I wouldn't say many times, but probably probably played 7 or 8 shows with them at some point, and the last time was actually about 4 months ago, and we played with him in Czech Republic with Linkin Park on the same festival. We were like direct support to them on the festival. We actually got to talk to him. He came out to say hi. He was very gracious. Always been an amazingly nice person, very polite, very respectful, and very humble. So when we heard about the news, I remember I was driving in a car in LA, and I couldn't believe it. I had to almost pull over and just read the article and see, I can't believe it. And it's the cliche thing, but he felt like he was such in good spirits when we met him, and he was so nice, and he looked physically fit, and he played an amazing show in front of so many people, thousands and thousands of people were there, and we even looked at. I just remember thinking oh man, they do so well, it must be so amazing to be in that band, and because as a band you often compare different situations and whatnot, and it just goes to show that we have no idea how people feel, and it was such a sad moment for us to see a guy that we were not best friends, but I felt like we had a friendship, and we cared about him, and I think he cared about us, and it's just really absolutely heartbreaking to see what happened to him, and I just feel for his family and for his bandmates and for all the fans out there that use his music as a way to feel better, and I read a lot of things saying how fans were sad because they're man, he saved me so many times, but I couldn't do anything for him, and it just goes to show that sometimes to be able to create beautiful music, but a lot of people that are tortured or that are going through tough times or depressed or
it comes across more real.
Well, exactly, the music is raw and it's powerful and it affects so many people, but it comes from a dark place, and it's just it's unfortunate what happened.
And just to kind of tie into that as well, you have the Simple Plan Foundation. Now, I know that's for teens that go through either drug, poverty, all that sort of things. Just to kind of explain how that came to be and how it's doing so far.
Yeah, well, actually, with the foundation, we also deal with lots of mental health issue and a lot of suicide prevention programs. So that's something that's really a part of the mission of the foundation. And I think the reason why we started to work on that is because we saw how many fans would come up to us and tell us how their lives were difficult and they were going through some really tough problems, and sometimes music was the only thing that was giving them a chance to hold on, and we thought, okay, it's a really cool thing to be able to create music to help people out. That's awesome, but at the same time we want to go beyond just making music, and we want to be able to do something that will affect them and help them more directly. And that's when the foundation started the idea of it, and we've been doing it for more than 10 years now, and we were able to raise over $2 million for different charities around the world, different causes, all for young people. I would say 95% in Canada as well. So something that we're very proud of, that has become a part of who we are as a band, and that we do on a daily basis. $1 of every ticket that we sell around the world when we headline concerts go back to the foundation. $1 of every VIP that we sell goes to the foundation. So every day we're able to kind of contribute to the cause, and it's something that I'm very proud of.
And again, like another radio host said, I don't want to take his words right out of his mouth, but again, it's awesome that you do that. It's amazing. You help so many people out. Like a lot of bands do some charity work, but it's great to see that you're staying with it.
Yeah, I think it's we want this to be part of our legacy as a band. We want it to stand for more than just being a band that sold tickets and albums and did well success, like commercially, or that had success in our career. We wanted to be a band that also tried as much as we could to help people and make a difference. And obviously we understand and we're aware that it's not billions of dollars, and there's charities that raise more money, but for us it was important to do our part.
Now, of course, speaking of Simple Plan and your music, and again, no offense intended on this question if it comes across that way, but, you have different styles over the years. Like some people call it emo, some call it pop punk, and then there's pop. Like depending on which song, like I can listen to Saturday, and then it's completely different from listening to Untitled or I Don't Want to Be Sad.
Sure.
And I just want to ask you, like, do you have to change to keep relevant, or is it just something that you kind of experiment with?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think that it's, I think that obviously we listen to all kinds of different music, and we're aware of all the new songs coming out and everything, and you listen to everything, and that has an influence, and I think that it shapes what you think or what you love and what you feel like playing at the time. Like you hear a new record or a new song, you're like, oh man, that's really cool. That will challenge you, and that will make you want to make a better record, or try a different direction. And I think that even just as a band, when you've been playing for 15 years, it's a lot harder to keep writing the same style because you've exhausted lots of the ideas that you had. So sometimes to change things up or just try something different, it gets you inspired again. So it makes it a little exciting, and it gives you that passion back of like, oh yeah, this feels like the first time. This feels like something that really exciting that I want to play for everybody. And sometimes you try different things, and you take a step back and you listen, and you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure about this one. And then you don't put it on the record, and you kind of like, what, we tried it, but it's not for us. It's not the right sound. But it's also cool to just take a few risks and step out of the comfort zone and try to evolve and try to keep pushing. If you look at all the great artists in the world, they've all made gigantic leaps in terms of the creative and in terms of their image and everything. And I think that for us, like, we try to do that with every album. We try to, not necessarily gigantic leaps, but just try to, just reinvent ourselves and tweak and just try to find something that works for us. And, it keeps it fun.
Yeah, like the example that just comes to mind to me was when Patrick Stubbs did Fall Out Boy. He went on his own, kind of went in a different direction. You mentioned about musical influences can kind of change how an album is. Can you kind of give us some examples of like certain musical influences that kind of changed how you sounded?
Trying to think of. I mean, like back in the day on the third album, Justin Timberlake and was coming out with his solo records, and we thought it was really fresh and really cool, and we were like, you know what, it'd be really cool to work with this producer, with like Timbaland, we actually ended up working with Danger, which was like Timbaland's basically like his protege and his right hand man, and so we did beats with him, and it was completely different, something we'd never done before. And for good or bad, like that record is very different from the rest of our kind of discography. Sorry, but for some fans, it's their favorite record that we ever made. For some others, they're like, oh man, we missed more the straight up pop punk, but we had to try it. We had to give it a shot because we were inspired by that, and we felt like it was really cool at the moment to go in that direction.
I only got a few more questions, and then we're good. The one thing I want to mention, and this is what I want to call like ballsy, and pretty much giving you a lot of credit, but there was a concert one time and someone threw a glass bottle at you while you were singing, and like, to me, if that was me, I'd be saying like, fuck that, I'm out. But you just kept going, you got stitches after. What was going through your mind, man?
I just felt like it was one of those things. It was back in 2003 or something, and there was a lot of controversy about us being pop punk or not pop or not punk enough for Warped Tour, and all that was seen, and or being too not too pop and all that. And it was a show with the Suicide Machines in Detroit, which was a band that was a little harder and heavier than we were. And I just felt like, like I'm not gonna let that crowd win. Like when we go on stage, we play the show, and we're not gonna let anybody back us down. It's not gonna happen. So just felt like I just wanted to prove a point that even though you might not like our music, we're not gonna stop because you don't want us to play. So just kept playing.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, you got artists like, no offense to Bieber, but as soon as something kind of happens at Bieber, he just kind of up and leaves.
Right.
He's young, but still, he kind of just leaves people hanging. Now, in October, you're going to Japan.
Yes.
So my question is, what are some of your favorite places to go to on tour?
You know what? I mean, in terms of countries and everything, and cities, we've been very lucky. We got to see so many really cool places. It was really rad to come back. It's always really special to come back to Canada because this feels very comfortable, and it feels like we're home, and we really like it feels like just very, I don't know, it feels very peaceful to tour here. It's really cool. We love the fans, and we have a great relationship. But in terms of more exotic places that I've enjoyed, I think Australia has been really dope for us. Really enjoyed South Africa. We only got to go there once, but it was probably the most special tour we ever done in terms of just visiting the country, being able to do like a huge safari, and being in Cape Town, which I thought was one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been to. So that was really cool. And I also Japan is great. Sweden we've been very lucky. I mean, I try to make the most out of every place that we go to, and try to find, not stay in the hotel room, not stay in the venue, but actually go and experience every city and try to just enjoy it for what it is, because a lot of people would kill to be able to travel like we do.
And the last question here is pretty much, you've been here, or you've been part of Simple Plan for 17 years. What's some of your favorite memories or your favorite song that you guys do?
Favorite songs or favorite memories? There's a lot, man. We could be here all day, but for me, one of the most special thing we ever done was the first Canadian tour in arenas. So it was 2004. We got to play our hometown arena at the Bell Centre in Montreal with all our families and friends there. Just to be able to step up on stage and show everybody that knew us and grew up with us, and how far the band had come. That was really a really special moment. It was very emotional, and we all got really choked up when we stepped on stage, and it was really a special moment. So I would say that I always go back to that one, just because it was really phenomenal to be on that stage.
That's going to do it for this episode of Tobin Tonight. Our thanks to Chuck Comeau for coming on the show. Remember, you can find past, present, and future episodes on TobinTonight.com, Spotify, and iTunes. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and leave a comment or two. For Tobin and myself, this is Jacob saying, thanks for listening, and good night.